I love her too. Oh, look at this, a show. It's Friday. You know what that means. Kat's dealer is in the green room and using Ainsley Earhart's mirror. But it's also time for
CNN Death Clock Countdown.
Good work there. So, where to start? How's CNN Plus doing? Yeah, not good. What do you expect? It was based on a premise that people who like CNN would spend money on CNN Plus. Problem is, there are no people who like CNN. It's on at airports for the same reason there are uncomfortable chairs, to get you to leave. Everyone hates CNN, including people who work there, their relatives, their pets. One day, Brian Stelter came home to find his two cats, Crispy and Cream, had taken their own lives by ODing on catnip. On the TV, reliable sources. These days, working at CNN isn't something you brag about. It'd be like someone gloating that they're the executive chef at Bennigan's. Who would want anyone to know you work at CNN? Well, unless you're trying to pick up Bette Midler. That's how I got a hernia. Inside, the place has the vibe of a prison yard on lockdown after a 3-day race riot. Who knows who will shiv you next? My money is on Jeannie Most. Remember her?
No.
Oh, she was great. So how could you expect diehards to come to CNN Plus when they don't even have any die-softs? But maybe CNN execs figured viewers already had a lot of time for CNN Plus since they weren't watching CNN. That's pretty smart. Former Mediaite editor John Nicosia reports that tensions between some talent and producers are higher than Snoop eating a bag of Doritos on the roof of a dispensary. I've seen it. Yeah, I bet you have. Some are having daily breakdowns and threatening to walk. We won't name names. And it's because no one's watching. CNN paid out millions and in return are getting under 10,000 viewers. I did the math, and it depressed me. If I got paid what CNN talent got paid per viewer, I'd be living in a mansion made of smaller mansions, and inside each one, a Barbie dream house. So it's a media platform with under 10,000 people. For perspective, do you know what gets more than 10,000 people? YouTube channels on knitting get 100 times what CNN Plus is getting. YouTube channels on proper flossing, same thing. And it's just videos of people flossing. I can't get enough of it. Oh, man. If a dog took a crap and posted it on YouTube, it would do better and not get paid $1,000 per turd, unless Germans bought the network. So sadly, CNN staffers are bracing for layoffs and budget cuts, which to me sounds like a pretty big opportunity for Elon. While he's waiting on Twitter, he should scoop up CNN like the dog turd that it is and turn it into something useful, like a Jiffy Lube or a Buffalo Wild Wings, or maybe a channel that covers news instead of creating it. Think about that. What if CNN was a news channel? Ugh, but then what do they do with other recent hires, like Jamel Hill or Rex Chapman? One is a breathless race baiter, and the other tricks CNN into thinking he doesn't just steal videos on Twitter. I guess they go to headline news where the rest of their talent goes to die. They should call it headstone news. Then there's Stelter. I can't bear to lose him because he's giving me nonstop content. He's been my muse. I mean muse. His latest F-up? Sunday on Reliable Sources, he invited some professors on to discuss a study where Fox viewers were paid cash to watch CNN for 7 hours a week. Here's a picture of a Fox viewer from that experiment. It's funny. CNN now has to pay people to watch their crappy TV. CNN is your only choice if you lost the remote. But a funny thing happened in this segment, and it wasn't Stelter sneaking a bite of a calzone that he was hiding under his coat. Joshua Callow, a Yale professor, was invited on to discuss the study, and Stelter assumed he would bash Fox. Didn't go that way.
So, Josh, you all call this partisan coverage filtering. And basically, you're proving what we've sensed for a while, which is Fox viewers are in the dark about bad news for the GOP.
That's right.
Really?
Fox and CNN cover different issues, and Fox News predominantly covers issues that make the GOP look good and make Democrats look bad. And And on the flip side, CNN engages in this partisan coverage filtering as well that we find. For example, during this time, the Abraham Accords were signed, and these were the agreements where Israel, the UAE, and Bahrain signed a major peace agreement. And we see that Fox News covered this really major accomplishment about 15 times more than CNN did. So we established both networks are really engaging in this partisan coverage filtering. It's not about one side, it's about the media writ large.
I think you're engaging in some both sidesism there, Josh.
You're engaging in both sidism, Josh. Look, Pillsbury, the data, the research showed both sides. That's why he used it. It's called context, something CNN's deathly allergic to. And that's why CNN is sinking. They don't believe there's more than one side to their fabricated tales. And if you show them one, well, then it's both sidism, or they'll call you racist. The reason why they fear Elon Musk is the same reason they obsessed over Fox. It's because we threatened their fake news bubble. Now it's being destroyed. And I got to admit, it's kind of fun to watch. It's that feeling you got as a kid watching the Wicked Witch melting. It's an amazing time to see the gatekeepers of false narratives collapsing. Remember this golden moment?
All the mistakes of the mainstream media, and CNN in particular, seem to magically all go in one direction. Are we expected to believe that this is all just some sort of random coincidence, or is there something else behind it?
It's too bad. It's time for lunch.
Stelter wanting to go to lunch was the most honest thing he's ever said. But at a certain point, you can't rely on food as your escape unless you bake a saw into a cake. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She'll spend this weekend decorating eggs, then throwing them at her kids. Fox News anchor Julie Banderas. This Kennedy can drive home a point and a car. Host of Kennedy on Fox Business, Kennedy. She'll spend this weekend searching for eggs, her keys, her phone, and possibly her dignity. Fox News contributor Kat Tibb. And finally, magicians can pull a rabbit out of a hat, but he can pull a magician out of a rabbit while wearing a hat. What the hell? My massive sidekick and the NWA World Television Champion, Tyrus. To the person who asked who writes that was a group effort.
Oh my God.
I started with the rabbit out of a hat.
Okay.
And then I think Gene said something. Tom said something.
Oh,
Next
it was
thing you know,
Gene.
It was Gene.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Run.
And it made no sense at all, but that's why it stuck. You know, I want to put this CNN Plus debacle, or debacle, in some kind of perspective for you, Julie, that you'll understand.
Oh.
Imagine you're going to some kind of event where there's free wine, and it's terrible. I know, you like that, but it's terrible.
Oh, I'll go.
But then you go to the liquor store, and that terrible wine is for sale. Why would you buy the terrible wine that you got for free? Isn't that what CNN Plus is? It's the terrible wine that you used to get for free.
Right. No, I wouldn't pay for terrible wine. I'll take free booze any day.
Yes.
But I compare CNN Plus and just CNN overall ratings to alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
I know a little bit about it. Well, so like when you go to AA, for example, which AA is for quitters, but if you decide to go as far as AA, you have to hit rock bottom, correct?
Right.
So CNN has honestly hit rock bottom. And the reason is, and I do believe this, is that the viewing audience are leaning more moderate. These are polls. They have their own polls that say that their viewing audience is more moderate. They have gone so far left. They've lost the country.
Yeah.
So they definitely need to come back to the middle. And that's their new CEO. I mean, Chris Licht from CBS, he's supposedly going to be taking it in that direction.
Oh, maybe so.
Drinking.
I'd like to hit the rock's bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about wait, what did you mean? What about
Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't.
All I
not
heard
ask.
was Greg and bottom.
He's setting you up to ask.
Okay.
Don't
Yes, fine.
ask.
Yes.
I pass.
I almost got her. Damn you, Tyrus. Kennedy, always a pleasure to see you. What about all of us pulling our money together to buy CNN? Then what would you do with it?
I would love to spend your money on anything. I think that would be great. I would do it what Oxygen should have done. Remember when Oxygen started and was like, this is a network for and about and by women. Like, women are running it, and it's going to be about women. We're going to have, like, intellectual vagina programming 24 hours a day. And then, you know, it's like they failed and failed and failed. They couldn't get any traction, so they put the Bad Girls Club on.
Right.
That's what CNN Plus needs to do. They need to put on what people want to see.
Yeah.
It's like, bring back Maury Povich.
Yes.
Bring back pregnancy tests and boot camp for teens. And, you know, he's not your dad, like all that stuff. Like, just put that on now.
Oh, God. They've only got one person left there that I like, Jake Tapper, and he could do that so well. Why isn't he over here? You know, that's a good question, Tyrus. They have a problem with the hiring situation, right?
Well, yeah.
If you look at Fox, we're all really wonderful, likable. We're people you want to sit next to on a plane flight. Over at CNN, you would move.
Completely untrue. I can't stand sitting next to you in the plane. You take pictures of me and harass me the entire flight.
That is true.
So
I have done that.
I have to challenge.
I've actually
you on that
seen
one.
pictures of you on the plane. I won't tell you who.
Well,
took it.
at least now with the mask on, you can't see his open mouth.
No, he was
So, I mean,
passed out with a
yeah.
mask on.
Yeah, of course he was.
Yeah, well, maybe.
This show isn't about me.
No.
Well, actually, it is.
I think a lot of
You couldn't handle that.
I think a lot of former Fox employees that made the jump because there was a time when it was you jumped away from Fox News because the other side of the grass was so greener because they were winning and they were doing this and they were on the right side of things and we were the evil bad guys in the corner. It was kind of like they left their wife.
Yes.
You know, Fox News was like your wife. She's not really exciting anymore. She makes sure she pays the bills and you do everything you need to do and occasionally you can like rub her back until she falls asleep. You know, it's not exciting stuff. And then they saw this really attractive woman who never questions them, and CNN was so sexy, and they could do what they want, and they could do it their way, and then they jumped. They left the wife, and now they're with this new girl on their first night together and getting ready for their big debut. That's kind of, we're seeing a lot of buyer's remorse, a lot of guys who got over there and said, 10,000, views per minute?
Yes.
No, that's per year, bro. Like,
I think the second girl sounds fun.
I don't know.
That's what CNN needs.
Just
They need to
saying.
spend that
No,
$250
because you
million
were
a year
cool
on
with
the
the
Sounds
ex
fun.
living
Sounds way
still
more
in the
fun.
house.
She's
Yeah.
pretty open that way, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Kat, I think this is what happens when you concentrate on your neighbor's yard and you let your house go to hell. They were like, and also they can't actually improve their network because it would make it more like us. So they can't. It would be admitting that we are good or better than they are. So I think they'd rather just fail.
Yeah, I don't. 10,000 is real bad.
Yeah.
I had thousands of people tune in to watch me eat soup live on YouTube once.
Yes.
And it wasn't 10,000, but it was me eating soup.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
a lot less went into that than went into CNN Plus. Like, I didn't have a producer.
Yes.
Except I had people at the table being like, Kat, stop, what are you doing? But that's what they needed. They needed someone to be like, stop, what are you doing when they launched CNN Plus? Because we all said, and everybody knew, that no one's going to pay for something that people aren't watching when it's free.
Right.
This is the least shocking thing ever, but still 10,000. I mean, that's pretty bad. That's real bad.
Yeah, it is. It is. You could start a 10-year-old could open an online lemonade stand and
Get more customers.
and get more customers from virtual lemonade.
Metaverse aid.
Yeah, metaverse aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up next, the media goes to great pains to forget whips that were obviously reins.